Hello, I am Aditi Lamba and a very warm welcome to another exciting segment of Face to Face, bringing you the best of South Asian representation and reach. Today on the show, we have a former Bollywood actress turned social crusader, an activist who's become a messiah for hundreds of women domestically abused or victims of human trafficking in the United States. It's an honor to welcome on the show founder and president of nonprofit No More Tears, Somy Ali. Somy, thank you so much for being with us on Face to Face on
It's
TV
an honor
Asia.
to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Beautiful. Somy, so you have been a really popular name right when you began your career in Bollywood years ago, and after you left, you moved here. It's been quite an interesting journey. You were a teenager living in Pakistan who had a teenage crush on Salman Khan, and you went to India in the 90s, and you became a Bollywood actress. You lived the whole glamorous life, and one day, you just packed your bags and moved to the US. How has this journey been? What started all of it, and how did you reach to No More Tears?
Okay, that is a whole book that I'm working on, but I will try to make a summary of it. So basically, I was 15, living in Florida. I watched Maine Pyar Kiya, and I had a dream that night that I have to wake up in the morning and go find Salman and marry him. Keep in mind, I was 15 at the time, so I had the license to be an idiot. So I basically went and woke up and started rummaging for my suitcase and decided to go to Bombay and find Salman. And there's a huge misconception that I went there to work in films.
Right.
And I'm glad that I can clear the air about that because that was not the case at all.
You never had an intention to be a film actress. You never wanted to pursue that field.
I had no interest. My only interest at 15 was to find Salman, get married to him, and have children. However, there was a whole ploy that I came up with. In order to meet Salman, I thought the best way is to join films. So I started acting school with Kishore Kapoor and Roshan Taneja. And that's where I had Tabu, Sunil Shetty, all these people in my acting class. And I figured, okay, this is the only way that I'm going to meet him.
Right.
And that ultimately led me to sign a film with him. And I ended up doing about 12 films with very, very amazing actors, with big stars.
Yeah, you had Mithun, you had,
Sanjay Dutt, Saif Ali Khan,
Yeah,
and I worked with Govinda, I worked with Salman, amazing, amazing people, just fantastic people. But the best part of all of this was to be able to travel all over India, learn the culture, and it was an amazing experience. However, the fairy tale ended poorly, which is common. A lot of relationships don't work out. So in '99 of December, I decided to leave everything in India and come back to the US and start afresh.
Somy, there is a lot of negative stuff written about the time you did leave India and, all the things that you went through your relationship with Mr. Salman Khan. Could you give us a little insight into it, maybe shut down some of the rumors that have been going around for years about what exactly happened? And No More Tears, a foundation which helps domestically abused women or people that are dealing with human trafficking. Does any of that come from there, your experiences in India, be it in the film industry or in your relationship?
I wouldn't say so much in the relationship because the relationships unfortunately had more downs than ups.
Right.
And when there's 90% of unhappiness and 10% of happiness, the best thing is to kind of leave that relationship. So the relationship, it was something that started off great but ended poorly. So the best thing for me, my decision was to kind of literally flee and just I fled.
Because you never really wanted to be an actress, you just wanted to marry him. So since that wasn't an option anymore, you just wanted to get away. You never wanted to continue pursuing acting?
At all. I had no interest in films. And when you look at my films, my acting will show you that I had no interest in films. So I basically, my ultimate goal was to go there. I was a very young kid and to marry him, and things didn't work out. So I decided to move here, start afresh. Now coming back to your question about why I started No More Tears.
Right.
So I was born and raised in Pakistan till the age of 12. I saw a lot of domestic violence in my household. I also saw a lot of domestic violence abuse against women. My mom had a friend circle. We
Right.
would always have some auntie come over with a broken arm or a black and blue face. And I realized that there was so much abuse growing up in Pakistan. I saw it everywhere. I also saw it again in India. We used to have house help that was
Right.
actually raped by a driver. And I went to the police department to file a report, and it was humiliating, that whole process, because they just take it very lightly. And there's no accountability for all the corruption that takes place and all the abuse that takes place. So unfortunately, I saw a lot of abuse growing up. I myself was a victim of sexual abuse as a child from the age of 5, and again at the age of 9, and then again when I moved to the US at the age of 13. There are two ways that you can go in life. You can suffer from a lot of bad, and you can go under a bridge and shoot heroin,
Right.
or you can suffer from a lot of bad and try to make sure that what you went through, no one else goes through. And I chose, of course, the latter path. I wanted to
Right.
start a nonprofit. I wanted to do something for women and children and men, of course. And I wanted to make sure that people that have been through these things, they have a better future. They have options.
So was No More Tears a decision you made when you were leaving India, or leaving India was because the relationship didn't work out and you were just done with the country and you wanted to come back to the US? Because when you did come back, you got education, you completed a bunch of degrees, you have qualifications to be the social crusader you are right now with the background in psychology, journalism background, filmmaking background. Was there something that you wanted to do when things went really bad for you in India?
I was, like I said, I saw so much abuse. And, my relationship with Salman was not very healthy.
Right.
And, I kind of try to extrapolate from my personal experiences. After I broke up in '99 of December, moved back to the US, it was very difficult to start afresh.
Right.
Because I had dropped out of high school at the age of 15. So I come back at 24 to the US with no education. The last time I went to school is when I was in 9th grade. I had nothing. I threw a pity party for myself, but nobody attended it. So I decided that I need to go back to school, get my GED. I got my bachelor's in psychology. I went to University of Miami for my master's.
Right.
Then I went to broadcasting school, and I went to the New York Film Academy to get a degree in film. And it was very, very difficult. I had to start from rock bottom.
Right.
And
After all that fame that you had.
it was so strange, because 1 minute I'm at a set in Film City and someone is saying, "Madam, do you want chai?"
Right.
And then the next thing I'm at an internship at National Public Radio where they're telling me to go across the street and bring 10 coffees. So it was a complete 180 from what I went through.
Right.
And it really humbled me. And, I'm proud of the fact that at 24, and it's not easy with having 18-year-olds in college with you, at 24 to start your bachelor's degree, I was able to finish it in 2 years.
Right.
And, it was a very, very, very big struggle. And to start No More Tears, I wanted to make sure that what I saw as a child, what I experienced as a child, what my brother experienced as a child, that does not happen to more people. And if it does, we need to rescue them, get them out, and give them a better future.
All right. Thank you so much, Somy. More on No More Tears and Somy's journey fighting domestic abuse and human trafficking right after this short break. Do stay with us. You don't want to miss this. Welcome back on Face to Face. We are in conversation with human activist Somy Ali. Somy, so right before going to break, we were talking about that brief but very historic and very important career of yours in the Hindi film industry, which you left because you didn't, your relationship wasn't successful, and that's all you wanted to be in Bollywood for.
Right.
So when you came back and you got your education, you started No More Tears, registered in 2006?
November of 2006. We were approved sometime in January 2007.
So Somy, I was reading a bunch of articles on you, and I read that the reason you started No More Tears, there was an incident where someone came and knocked on your door, and she was, I think, from Bangladesh, I believe, and she said that my husband has abused me and I don't know what to do, and then after that you started No More Tears. So my question is, was that really what sort of sprung it up, or was No More Tears already at the back of your mind and that one incident sort of pushed you more to actually start it?
So No More Tears was already, I didn't even know the name at the time. I know that I wanted to start a charity. I wanted to help children, animals, women, plants, whatever. I was all over the place. And it was in the midst of that time, I was like, I definitely want to do a nonprofit organization. I want to give back, and I feel like it's our duty. It's kind of paying rent on being on this planet. We have to give back if we're blessed. It's very important to do that. So this woman lived 5 houses down from me in Fort Lauderdale. She came to my door. She was bleeding from her forehead. And she asked for help. She said, my father-in-law has raped me. My husband has been beating me for 10 years. I don't know where to go. And basically, I invited her in, called the police. We put her through medical school. She's actually a monthly donor now. And I realized that the mission actually knocked on my door. Literally. So I was like, if there's one woman from Bangladesh that is going through this, there have to be more women in the U.S., many more women all over the U.S. that are brought from different countries and they're physically and sexually abused.
And Somy, this wasn't that much after your Bollywood career, that you resigned from willingly. So when all of this happened, and you make the news, you have started No More Tears, it's going ahead, and you were on the field very quickly, rescuing women, putting your own life in danger. How did members of Bollywood react? Did you get a lot of feedback from them for it?
I got immense support from people like Sunil Shetty. I got immense support from Salman. He's been a wonderful supporter. He's worn our shirts. No More Tears has a clothing line, which we use to raise funds.
Which is also very similar to Salman Khan's Being Human line, which he sort of gave you credit for where he got the inspiration from, right?
Yes, I find imitation the best form of flattery, basically. So we had our first T-shirt was called Human Being. And what Salman did is he flipped it and basically called his nonprofit Being Human. And it's wonderful. I'm so proud of what he's doing. I'm so proud of his charity. He's done immense amount of good work.
Do you want to inspire more Bollywood actors or people in the industry to do more work like this? Because unfortunately, there aren't that many celebrities or people in the media that are working in nonprofits that are working with human trafficking or domestic abuse. It's a very sensitive topic to talk about.
I want everyone, of course, that is blessed and that is able to. And of course, Bollywood actors and Hollywood actors are blessed. And they have the financial means to give back. The kind of work that I do is very dangerous. We used to have an office, and we had a trafficking ringleader come and point a gun straight at me and said, consider this a warning. And I froze. Before I could even call the cops, he took off. I was spit on in court by the abusers because I always go to court with the victims as a victim advocate. My tires have been slashed. I've received death threats. I've received racist emails that have called me a terrorist because I'm Muslim. It's not an easy job. It's not social work. You have to be born with a special gene to be able to do social work. It's very draining. But having said that, India, Pakistan have a lot of other problems outside of the abuse of women and children and men, outside of human trafficking issues. So I urge everyone that's in India and Pakistan that is blessed and that is wealthy and that has the means, pick any cause. People are starving over there. Help someone, do something. This is something that is very important for us as human beings to give back.
Just talking more about the volunteers, what kind of organizations does No More Tears work with? Do you work with sororities or other organizations that are also trying to find shelters or trying to find domestic abuse organizations to help them?
So I believe in collaboration. Now, how we get our victim is we work with the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security. We work with every police department, not just in Miami, Florida, but in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We work in West Palm Beach County. I have flown to New Jersey, to New York, to Washington, to Maryland, many places to help victims. It all is contingent upon how much money we have in our account and am I able to fly and give this woman services. So we partner with local nonprofits. We partner with nonprofits that have shelters.
Right.
And I believe in collaboration. Because if you're doing the work of compassion, you have to collaborate. Together we can do more rather than just us alone. So collaboration is very important for me.
Thank you so much, Somy. We'll be right back with more on Somy's mission and No More Tears efforts and reach. Do stay tuned on Face to Face. Welcome again. We are in conversation with Somy Ali on Face to Face. Somy, right before going on the break, we were talking about No More Tears and how you have created this whole network of volunteers, and with the help of the donors, you're literally helping every single victim that you come across. Somy, going towards that, you help victims of domestic abuse, sexual abuse, as well as human trafficking. When looking at the South Asian diaspora, which unfortunately faces a lot of these problems, be it Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, all of these areas have these cases. Where do you find most of your victims in that area? Do you find more, have you come across more human trafficking victims, or have you come across more domestic abuse victims?
When it comes to South Asian victims, it has been more of domestic violence. Not human trafficking.
Not human trafficking.
Not a large percentage of human trafficking.
So which ethnicities have you seen most of the human trafficking cases? And because you guys have been huge advocates for human trafficking through No More Tears.
We have had, within the U.S., white Americans, young girls. We've had African Americans, girls, boys, white, American girls,
right.
Caucasian girls. These are girls that are within the U.S. that want to become a Britney Spears or, a Katy Perry, that will leave their small town and come to Miami, come to New York. They'll get duped by someone. They will be taken to a motel where there's a pimp that's going to beat them up, shoot them up with heroin, have them raped by a bunch of men to break them in the business. And they get them addicted to drugs. So I've seen the human trafficking in terms of who the people are. It's young girls, young boys that have been sexually abused or physically abused at home, and they run away for a better life, and they end up getting in the hands of these trafficking ringleaders.
And let me address it real quickly. We are actually talking about the United States. We're
Yes.
not talking about the rest of the world here. We're talking about this problem happening in the country. Do you think that people actually don't talk about this as much?
I think people are not aware. I think people are completely oblivious. Miami's number 3 when it comes to human trafficking. There's California, which is number 2, and Texas is number 1. So I think people are completely oblivious on the prevalence of human trafficking.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think that human trafficking in that aspect has been something not discussed as much? People don't discuss prostitution. People don't discuss human trafficking. People don't discuss this exporting of people across globally. What do you think is the reason behind it?
Well, there are numerous reasons. The number 1 reason is that a lot of people don't care. As a society, we turn the other way. We're not interested. And a lot of people, unfortunately, human beings are selfish by nature, but
right.
Those that do care are involved, and they do want to help. Also, there's a stigma attached to talking about sexual abuse.
Right.
And that is our biggest failure as a society as a whole. We need to eradicate this stigma. Same thing, there's a stigma attached to talking about domestic violence,
right.
particularly in the South Asian culture. And we need to eliminate this stigma, take a stand against it. So that's why people don't want to talk about it.
Somy, going back to the fact that you just said, South Asians have seen a lot of domestic abuse and sexual abuse. It's actually one of the most common problems that happen in a household in any of these countries. What would you like to say to all these women that are currently facing that. You know, a lot of women right now are scared, not even in India or Pakistan. I'm talking about in the U.S. that have come from that background. They're scared to reach out, or they think it's okay if their husband slaps them, or if they're sexually abused by someone. What do you have to say then, and how do you want No More Tears to sort of combat that?
I want them to reach out to No More Tears. There's no service that No More Tears does not provide. Like I said, we have helped over 3,000 victims. From our organization, we have put women through school that have come out as paralegals, as physicians, as psychologists, as teachers, professors. I mean, nurses. We have our goal, our model is very unique. Look, you can provide a bunk bed in a shelter to a victim for 90 days.
Right.
And then what does she do? We believe in teaching them how to fish, we believe in giving them the tools. You know, we believe in teaching them how to fish.
But how do you aim to encourage the women that are currently facing that and they're just so scared to even make that phone call? Like, what do you have to say to those women?
Be brave. Take that step. You do not deserve to be abused. Nobody deserves to be abused. And, you know, call us. Call our crisis line. Go to nomoretearsusa.org. Send us an email. You know, our crisis line number is on there. It's 954-324-7667. Give us a call. We will leave no stone unturned in providing you services and in helping you.
Is there anything you'd like to say to all the viewers that are watching you on TV Asia? You know, any appeal you'd like to make for all the victims, or, you know, for victims to come forth?
I would like to urge all of you to please visit nomoretearsusa.org. Look, if you are blessed in the slightest, it is our duty to give back. Please, please help these women, help these children, help the men. All of them are trafficking victims. They're victims of sexual abuse, physical abuse. Please give back. Please, please go to nomoretearsusa.org. Like I said, we're the only nonprofit. Every dollar that you give goes directly to help the victims. Please, please do something. Don't look the other way. Take a stand. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Somy. And this concludes our face-to-face with Somy Ali, a South Asian achiever who's dedicated her career, education, and commitment to helping women. A great inspiration. Do tune in again next time for another exciting face-to-face segment. I am Aditi Lamba. Thank you for joining us.